Hi, Zizaran here, welcome to another video, and today we're going to cover jewels, why you should use them, and well, it's one of the things I see new players struggle with the most, where they're using basically one-stat jewels, and that is obviously not worth it. If you ever feel like you're not able to catch my stream because I'm streaming at bad hours for you, we're actually introducing a VOD channel. If you want to watch the full VODs and what happened at your own leisure, we got you covered. So there's obviously a lot of different unique jewels and interesting ones in Path of Exile, and they're very clear to use because, well, generally as a new player, you'll follow a build guide and it'll explain how they work. Whether it's a Watcher's Eye, which is very obvious why it's good, or a Lethal Pride, which, you know, your build guide tells you to get for example, something by Tempered by War. But what about rare jewels? So very often I will see somebody have a jewel that maybe, for example, just has 7% life and no other stats that are relevant for their build, or, you know, only one damage stat, and then it's not really worth 2 slots. Sometimes they can be slightly weaker, like for example this one enabled me to use my build because it had life, it had fire damage, but it also had the 3% restoration. And obviously on solo self-found, getting jewels can be very hard, so what are we actually looking for? So I'm gonna go to Path of Exile and show you some examples on how to find good jewels. So first, let's think about Toxic Rain Pathfinder. We're going to try to figure out everything we want for a good jewel and how to find them cheaply. So first, we want to think about what stat affects my build and its damage. And if I'm a hardcore player, what I sometimes do is I will search for percentage increase maximum life in like that. And I will add a new stat group of count. And that will make that I will guarantee that I'm searching for life. And I'm going to search for the other ones, and at least a few of the other ones. The first, I'm going to teach you how to search for an expensive and basically perfect jewel. So when you roughly figured out everything that you want, and you can have count 3 or 2 or even 1 to look for different ones, and we'll show a few different scenarios here. But how do you actually find out what does damage for your build? Sometimes it'll be mentioned in your build guide, and sometimes it'll be very clear, right? If you're playing with fire damage, well, fire damage will probably increase your build. And what you can do is you can go to Path of Building and open your build, and in custom modifiers, you can look at different ones. So for example, if I have a typo in this, you can see that I'm losing damage. So we realize that area damage works, and you can make it a large amount to make sure they understand if it does something or not. But for example, what about increased damage with two-handed weapons? Increased damage with two-handed weapons. So we can see that that does affect it a little bit, but that means generally that it's only affecting the hit portion of our build, so it isn't something that's actually good for us to scale. However, if I search for just increased damage, you can see that this does do something. So using this custom modifier for your build, you can learn a lot about what scales your build and what doesn't, and this is a good way to explore finding jewels. So now we have these. We have increased damage over time, damage over time multiplier, chaos damage, damage, attack speed, attack and cast speed. This could be a little bit of a weak stat, so we could, you know, just gloss that out. Area damage, chaos damage, attack speed with bows, and there might have been some that I've missed, but this is a pretty good starting point. So now we're searching for if there is a jewel that has at least life, and it has 3 of these stats. Let's see if there are any perfect jewels for sale. You can see that these are 1 Divine Orb. This is a slightly weaker one because it has attack and cast speed, but this is an incredibly good one. You'd probably need to divine it to get 7% life, but very, very good jewel. Now, these could also be corrupted, and obviously corrupting is a lot easier on only 3 stat jewels. A 4 stat jewel is a big risk to corrupt, but it could have things like increased restoration efficiency or immunity to corrupting blood. But what if we go back to the filters and lower it to 2 months? Now you can see that there are 521, and especially now we can remove attack and cast speed and be a little bit more selective because that is only up to 4%. And you could also specify which ones you really want to look at, and there are more advanced filters you can do, but this is a very simple one. Here you can see that this is attack speed, area damage, and life for just 1 chaos. Now those will get snapped up pretty fast. But even just for 7 chaos, you can get damage, maximum life, and area damage. Now this is obviously really good because if we compare to some notables they would take for a build for 2 points, let's say they were sitting here at Blood Siphon on a slightly different skill tree that doesn't go up here, instead of taking Trickery, which would be 5% life and 20% damage, you could obviously have a jewel, which is damage, area damage, and 6% life. So very, very good. And if you are getting things like dot multiplier, that would obviously be a lot more stronger than just percentage damage. So you can easily see how a lot of jewels will beat out these like notables a lot of the time. This one has 10% attacking cast speed, 8% cast speed. So on a jewel, you could easily get something like 15% attack speed and 7% life. So they are incredibly strong, and you have to think about that when you are building. Now, what if I'm on softcore and I don't care about life? What we can do then is we can add 4 stats here. Now we're just looking at damage stats, and you can still add in life, but life will generally increase the price a lot. So let's see if we have any cheap 4-stat jewels. We don't actually have any with just damage. So that is a little annoying as an example, but there will be some builds, like physical damage builds, that might have like a lot more modifiers. If we're looking for just triple damage jewels, we can see we have this one here, which is really good. It's got reservation efficiency, which we didn't even add. Maybe you do need that, maybe you don't, but you could add that if you want. Area damage, attack speed with bows, and damage. So this is a very good jewel for 2C. Maybe they're not even selling it and they could be price fixing, in which case you can just click ignore player. Lightning resist, attack speed, chaos damage, and damage. And lightning rest and restoration are some really good examples of things that you could add in as a filler just to get more value for your jewel. So maybe I want to add in, for example, total AoE res, and that will now add that as a feature. And we can see here that this is 14 total AoE res, attack speed with bows, and area damage. So that might help you out with gearing a little bit. Another thing that's really good is searching for abyss jewels. So for example, here we are in a basically and loop. Like this will always be on each one we're searching for. We want at least 20 life, and we want the implicit corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. This is really good because then only thing that'll affect you will be bleeds, and corrupting blood is obviously something that'll affect you a lot in maps. Then we're searching for example, pseudo total elemental resistances. So this will search for just, you know, any form of fire, cold, lightning res, or all res. We'll search for either attributes, strength, attack speed, or damage if you killed recently. And you could obviously add things like lightning damage to attacks, etc. If you need that for your build. If you're lightning arrow, for example. And then first we'll search for these 2 stats and at least 2 of these in the count. So now we can see that there are 4 with that. So here we have a jewel with life, lightning damage to attacks with staff, which might not apply to your build, and then fire and cold rest, and it's corrupting blood immune. So this is really good to put in your Stygian Vice, for example. Now you're immune to corrupting blood, you get some lightning damage, you get some resist, and you get life. Obviously a lot better than 40 life from a leather belt. You can also increase or lower the count. So for example, what if you want to hit something with 3? There might not be any for sale with the things you've listed, or if even 2 is too many, then you can see that there's a lot listed, only 1 extra result. So this is just the life and the attributes. Hopefully this video gives you some examples on why jewels are good, and they can be incredibly strong, even just the like random rare ones. And then you also have abyss jewels that can be incredibly strong as well, and they work basically the same way. You'd have to look up what stats can roll on them and what are good for your build, but especially on these random rare jewels, it's very easy to like just make a list of everything that affects your build that you would want and make a count search. Count searches are very strong. I hope this helps you, and you can do this count search for finding rare gear like boots and gloves and other things as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.